Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Grandpa Khatep's got his mobility scooter out today. We're actually in a 2v2. Waifu Khalida's got her Dakka squad over here, being commanded by Black Iron Battles himself, and we're up against a double Skaven team, so let's go ahead and get to the army compositions. For myself, of course, I've got Grand Hierophant Khatep on his chariot here. For those of you guys who haven't seen me use him against the Skaven before, he's definitely my favorite choice against the Skaven, mostly because you can bring him on a chariot and take double vortex spells. So he has this bound sandstorm, of course, and the incantation of the Skull Storm. Also brought the physical resistance, incantation of protection, and the incantation of cursed blades, because that extra bonus versus large is just so useful in so many situations when you overcast it. It's also got the Lich Staff, so every time you cast a spell, it gives plus 15 ability recharge. This item in particular makes Grand Hierophant Khatep probably the best pick against the greenskins. Granted, we're not fighting them today, but just a side note, hoping to show off that to you guys soon. We've gone with a bit of a Khatep-ek build, so we've got 2 Skeleton Archer Chariots on this side and 3 more Skeleton Archer Chariots over on this side. Of course, the archers are just to deal a bit more damage. They're only 100 points more than the regular chariots, and I had the points, so I figured might as well. Of course, chariots are very good against the Skaven. The only units they have that can really counter them effectively in melee are things like Rat Ogres and the Hell Pit Abomination. To help take them out, Khalida has brought along her Dakka squad here. Not the full Dakka squad, but we do have 1 Bone Giant, 2 Shabti Great Bows, a couple of Tomb Guard, front line of Skeleton Spearmen. We've also got some Skeleton Archers, looks like the Blessed Legion actually. Also a Lich Priest, Lore of Light. He's got Nets and Banishment, both very good choices against the Skaven. Tomb Guard with Halberds protecting the rear. Also got the Kepper Guard. For my Infantry Corps, Tomb Guard up front, or sorry, Tomb Guard as the 3rd line. Then we've got a couple of Skeleton Warriors up front and Skeleton Spears. That's pretty much it for our Tomb King force. Of course, a few Carrion as well, emerging from the woods here. And for the Skaven, they've got hidden over here some Clan Rats with shields in the woods. Then under Queek's banner here, and it is Queek himself commanding the force. He's got a Warlock Engineer, front line of Storm Vermin, Sword and Board with a Plague Monk Sensor Bear out the flank. He's also got a Hell Pit Abomination, 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, so a very small elite Clan Moors force for the Skaven. For Clan Pestilence here, of course, Lord Skrolk and an Assassin. We've also got another Hell Pit Abomination, Storm Vermin with Halberds, and Plague Monks through the center with another Storm Vermin out on the flank, Plague Claw Catapult, and Warp Lightning Cannon with Skaven Slave Slingers all around. Now, without further ado, let's get the battle rolling into full gear. May have missed a unit here or there, but nonetheless, we're going to be pushing forward. And the idea here is we're going to definitely rush, and because the Skaven can't really get to, they don't have anything that can really push through the front line and get to this Bone Giant very aggressively, he can kind of hang back with Khalida and get the buffs. If anything does try and come after him, of course, Khalida can definitely teach him a lesson. And I'm going to try and roll up this far side and break up our opponent's formation as much as possible with the chariots kind of collapsing on both flanks. So we'll see how the engagement goes. You can see the chariots are going to be riding up here. I didn't see this Hell Pit Abomination initially because the green flag kind of blends into the forest a little bit. But the chariots are going to charge through here and start to disrupt the Skaven formation. Once that Hell Pit Abomination does emerge from the woods, we're going to pull back. But yeah, the Plague Monks, especially a high-value target here with low armor, will take a lot of impact damage from those skeleton chariots. And you can see over on the far side, the Carrion going to be trying to swoop in. I originally had pathed them to go after the artillery. Looks like they are swooping down now to do that. That artillery piece had actually been destroyed by Ushabti Great Bows largely, so a little bit of a wasted effort on my part, but nonetheless, we are tying down opponent's resources. Meanwhile, these 2 Carrion had been caught by a Howling Warp Gale. Very nicely played by our opponents there, but Khatep coming through, unleashing a nice vortex here as his chariots force a nice blob with the Storm Vermin with Halberds. Then the Skull Storm comes in and cleans quite a few of them up. Actually, I believe that's the Bound Sandstorm. But anyway, Looks like debuff going down on the Assassin. I believe that's the Rival Hide Talisman. They're going to be debuffing a lot of the units in this pocket, but we've done our damage already to the Storm Vermin, a lot of the Plague Monks as well. Meanwhile, on this side here, you can see Black Iron's force and mine kind of combining to fight it out in the forest here. Kepler Guard against against the Storm Vermin is going to be a pretty even trade, honestly. I wouldn't know who to pick in this fight. I would think probably the Storm Vermin due to their better armor, but the regeneration of the Kepler Guard may make a difference there. Skeleton Archers focusing very aggressively on that Warlock Engineer. That's awesome. I managed to Alpha Strike these Plague Monk Sensor Bearers with the Skeleton Archer Chariots on the far side, breaking them down immediately. More Vortex spells going off. You can see just madness all across the lines. Carrion swooping in, and the Chariots are able to get a bit of a break going on this flank. That being said, this Hell Pit Abomination is still very healthy, so we're going to pull away from there, obviously, with the Chariots and continue to break things up a bit. Yeah. Unfortunately, this Lich Priest here getting messed up by Queek pretty badly. Definitely not great, but the Bone Giant still secure with Khalida, and oh man, that Lich Priest just flung Queek back into the blob there, but yeah, the Shabti Great Bows and the Bone Giant here opening up shots with Khalida, going to be just blasting that Hell Pit Abomination there. Summon Shabti coming over to help out these Skeleton Spearmen and start to deal some damage to those Storm Vermin there. You can see the Storm Vermin are beating out the Kepler Guard, if slightly, so that answers that question. Meanwhile, the Skeleton Archer Chariots out on this flank, we're trying to kind of cycle around and hit this unit of Storm Vermin from various different angles, but it looks like he's trying to move them back towards the front line here. Banishment going down from that Lich Priest there, doing a bit of damage to those Storm Vermin. And yeah, you can see the lines are starting to collapse a little bit for the Tomb Kings over on this side. We're just getting very, very low. The Tomb Guard have taken a lot of damage from Plague Monks. Plague Monks actually trade pretty effectively with Tomb Guard due to Tomb Guard's relatively low armor, but the Chariots in the back line are still online, wrapping up these Skaven Slave Spears, or Slingers rather. And yeah, it looks like a Warp Lightning going down. Very nicely done, connecting well on those Kepler Guard there. Unfortunately, this Hell Pit is broken at this point. The bounce power is starting to shift in our favor. You can see the Chariots on this side had come and collapsed a bunch of the Storm Vermin here, so they're going to be routed off. And yeah, at this point, the Khatep, Ek, Dakka, Khalida alliance going to be taking home a victory against the Skaven. You can see another Sandstorm or Skullstorm. I never can get it quite right. Coming up there. Not sure what happened to Queek Buddy, but ooh, looks like Khalida just going to town with the Tomb Strike and the range support, just absolutely getting him down. And man, did she just take him out completely? Looks like just about, but yeah, with Queek gone, with the Hell Pit gone, our opponents are going to admit defeat in just a moment here, even though some of their forces are still online, but a lot of these Plague Monks also being broken off on this side by the Chariots, repeatedly charging. So yeah, Skeleton Archer Chariots definitely showing their worth here, and then of course Khalida's Dakka squad here finishing off some of the monsters. You can see this other whatever it's called, Hell Pit Abomination was caught up in a pocket here, about to get Dakka down. So well played to our opponents, and of course well played to Black Iron, my accomplice in crime here. And it's definitely a fun battle. I do like this Khatep Ek build quite a bit against the Skaven. Thankfully, the Warp Lightning Cannons honestly didn't end up getting too much work done on the Chariots. I'm not sure. I think they were focused mostly on the Shabti Great Bows. One of the units there actually didn't look like they took too much damage at the end of the day, but yeah, definitely taking out those Hell Pits, very key there. And of course, the Tomb Guard and the Kepler Guard doing well to hold those Storm Vermin over on that far side, while the Chariots kind of came in. You can see a couple of the Chariots in particular on that left side that collapsed a bunch of the Skaven Slave Slingers and so on, racked up a ton of kills. The other ones weren't quite as high in number, but they definitely did some good work taking out these Plague Monk Sensor Bearers, who pretty much had zero impact on the battle. They also took out several Storm Vermin, and then applying that nice rear charge at the end of the day. That combining with the just the gooning of Queek by Khalida, just putting him in a trash can, you know, stuffing him into an undersized, you know, Skaven-sized locker, and just, you know, calling all the popular kids to make fun of him. It's just a rough day for Queek overall by Khalida there. For our Skaven opponents here, I mean, the Storm Vermin are a decent pick on paper, but of course our overwhelming mobility was able to kind of counter that a little bit. Plague Monk Sensor Bears I'm not the biggest fan of in this particular matchup. I think it would have been pretty good for them to have some more anti-large tools, like even just a whole bunch of Skaven Slave Spears, or not Skaven Slave Spears, but Clan Rat Spears would have been pretty decent, because Skeleton Chariots, that is, don't have that much armor at the end of the day. I I think it's like 50 or something, so even the cheap-ish spears of the Skaven can get some work done against them. So I think if you were to cut the Censer Bears and then just get some more Clan Rat spears, that could definitely be a good alternative there. But overall, very fun thematic battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. We're going to keep it going with more Total War Warhammer 2 content, of course. I'm currently kind of not at home. I'm house sitting for my brother right now, so these are all not necessarily pre-recorded, but, well, somewhat pre-recorded. It's just across town, but it is far enough away that I'm not, you know, sleeping here at home. I'm actually staying at his house, so, you know, we'll be back to more regular content schedule soon. I'm still going to try and keep it going 2 a day, but I may be late on a video here or there. But when I get back, I'm going to be doing some streaming. We're going to be jumping into some Sea of Thieves with Italian Spartacus. Also want to look at some other games, like I know some other community members have really been enjoying that Gladius game, sort of the Civ-like 40k game. So I definitely want to check that out as well. So stay tuned for all that and more, and we'll see you next time.